Every road leads right here.
Destiny's a hard thing to run from, isn't it?
Ever since the release of its first season back in June of 2018, Yellowstone has gone on to become one of the most popular dramas to ever grace the Paramount Network, introducing viewers to an ensemble cast of incredible talent. And with approximately 10 episodes in total spanning across its third season, it may surprise fans to hear that some of their favorite Season 3 moments were actually the result of some impromptu improvisation. But which of these incredible moments were unscripted, and to what extent were the cast given the freedom to play around with the script from time to time? Well, whether you're a fan of the show or just want to know more about one of the best ranching shows of the modern era, stay right where you are, as we're about to explore some of the greatest improvised moments of Yellowstone Season 3. So strap yourselves in and get ready for an exciting ride, as things are about to get interesting. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. Number 1. The Biker Brawl. As we're well aware, Yellowstone is a Paramount Network Western series that centers around the Dutton family and the running of their ranch in Montana. As such, fans of the franchise have come to know the Dutton family and appreciate the serious tone that is often carried by the show. That being said, there comes a time when humor needs to be introduced to balance the dramatic experiences that the family has been bathed in. Otherwise, the viewer tends to feel overwhelmed by everything that is going on. At least, that's what Denham Richards believes, who is the actor made famous for his portrayal of Colby on the show. According to Richards, overly dramatic performances and raw emotion have a way of influencing the cast members on set as well, who often live vicariously through their characters in an effort to give an incredible performance that simply can't be reached without method acting. As you can imagine, this often results in a pretty somber attitude on set. That being said, Taylor Sheridan has been known to give a certain amount of leeway to the cast members of Yellowstone, who are the only ones that have a clear feeling of what their character would say or do in a particular situation. So while Sheridan writes a dialogue that would certainly fit into the overall environment of the show, there's no doubt that the talented cast members then take this dialogue and reformulate it, sometimes even changing actions without the knowledge of their co-stars. This is what brings us to the first unscripted moment on our list, which we can only enjoy by rewinding back to the infamous biker brawl between the Dutton livestock enforcement officers and leather-clad army. In this scene, we see the ranch hands of the Dutton family approaching a group of bikers who have decided to have a little camp out on the private ranch. While the bikers clearly believe that they had a right to be there, it doesn't take long for the ranch hands to explain the situation and ask them to move across the road and into the public area of the Yellowstone National Park. The bikers don't take too kindly to this demand, which causes one of the hands to pull out his livestock agent badge. Once one of the female bikers calls the hand a pink-haired hick, things get a little messy. Surprisingly enough, this remark was actually 100% unscripted and caught the so-called pink-haired hick by surprise, causing her to forget her line. So rather than finishing her written dialogue, she reacted with a "What did you say to me?" only to rush forward with one heck of a punch. The stunt extras took this brilliantly by reacting in the perfect way possible by rushing forward and enacting the already choreographed fight scene. So as it turns out, the disgust on the ranch hand's face at being called a pink-haired hick was actually real, allowing the situation to evolve and flow from some real anger. It's no wonder that the fight went down so well as one of the favorite moments amongst fans of the show. But surprisingly enough, this wasn't the only portion of the scene that was improvised. Number 2, the impactful arrival. In fact, one of the reasons why fans adored this biker brawl above all others was the appearance of Rip Wheeler on the scene, who is portrayed by the one and only Cole Hauser. According to the script, Hauser was supposed to see the fight breaking out from down the road, causing him to speed over to the group and skid to a halt before jumping out and joining the action. But he wanted Rip's appearance on the scene to make a real impact and cause the bikers to react very strongly when he finally made it into the choreographed scene. So he went over to Taylor Sheridan and asked whether the destruction of the bikers' fake Harleys was covered by the budget of the show. And with Sheridan's go-ahead, and unbeknownst to the other actors on the scene, Hauser crashed into a long line of fake Harleys in an effort to bring his vehicle to a complete stop. So when you see the stunt doubles and the remainder of the cast on the scene stop fighting and glance over at Hauser in shock, That's 100% real emotion right there. And props definitely need to be given to the extra stunt double that took on the position of the lead biker, as he went on to exclaim in pain upon seeing the wreckage of his bikes on the other side of the road, followed by anger at Hauser for causing the damage. And since it remains one of the best scenes in the entirety of the season 3 of the show, there's no doubt that Sheridan doesn't regret giving Hauser the go-ahead to act out this improvisation. Number 3. Beth's embarrassment. The relationship between Beth, as portrayed by the beautiful Kelly Riley, and Rip is one as old as time itself. It feels like the two have been through more in the past 3 seasons of the show than anyone else, but it seems that regardless of what may be going on in their lives, the two always find their way back to one another. In fact, this is one of the reasons why fans have come to call Yellowstone one of the most romantic shows that the Paramount Network have ever brought to television, even though it was by no means meant to turn out this way. The chemistry between Riley and Hauser is beyond palpable, with some fans even suggesting that something is going on between the two off the set of Yellowstone as well. But the actors have nipped this rumor in the bud a few times, saying that they are only friends who love playing these characters on screen. Speaking of romance, one of the greatest improvised moments of season 3 actually came in the form of an interaction between Beth and Rip, after revealing to Beth that he really liked how she had called him baby in going back to Cali. He asked what he should start calling her. According to the script, she was supposed to respond with a line similar to "anything you want, baby," referring back to this name he enjoyed so much in the first place. But as it turns out, Riley was enjoying the moment a little too much. While sitting on his lap and looking into Hauser's eyes, she instead responded with the word wife. She then immediately became flustered, which in turn caused Hauser to look shocked at the change of the script. But the production staff decided to keep this moment in, as it showed viewers that Beth, who is usually very guarded, can too let her walls down when she is with the man she loves. His subtle response thereafter of "I didn't mean that" had the same vibe, and was kept in as well. That's what you get when you bring two incredible method actors together in a romance-driven scene, and it's a good thing too, as it really helped develop both of their characters even further. Number 4. The gut-wrenching moment. Another moment that completely took the cast members by surprise came straight from the wheelhouse of Kevin Costner, who portrays the always just John Dutton. Considering how fans of the Yellowstone were first turned on to the show due to the casting of Kevin Costner in the leading role, we always knew that there were going to be a few special moments where he would pull at the heartstrings by giving nothing less than pure emotion. And that moment finally happened in season 3, when John's daughter, Beth, decided to confide in him regarding why she was no longer able to have a child. You see, Beth discovered earlier on that her and Rip would never be able to fall pregnant due to something that she had asked her adopted brother Jamie to do when she was a teenager. Having fallen pregnant back then, she confided in Jamie about her situation and asked if he would help her perform a makeshift abortion on her. He agreed that this would be in the best interest of his sister and performed the procedure as asked. It was because of this unregulated procedure that Beth is no longer able to fall pregnant. In the scene where Beth was informing her father of all of this, he was supposed to break down in tears, feeling sadness for what his daughter thought she had to go through back then. But Costner had other plans and decided to turn the script on its head by not only changing the dialogue, but the overall tone of the scene as well. Rather than reacting with sadness, he looked up at Jamie with nothing less than hatred in his eyes, shouting, "Who did you think you were to take that from her?" It's a reaction that came straight from the heart. And when Costner was asked about the performance in an interview later in the year, he responded that it was one of the hardest scenes he has ever had to shoot. Apparently, listening to Beth recount the story was not only painful to Dutton, but Costner as well, who has had his own run-ins with events in his personal life that this little exercise brought up. What do you think of these unscripted moments? Be sure to let us know in the comment section down below.